Today we'll be going over everything you need to know about the new Campfire update, along with the best way to prepare and immediately farm tons of those new Campfire eggs and get those insane new pets that will definitely sell for a ton of trading tokens. So as always, if you enjoy this video or find it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. That being said, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into the video. So on Saturday, we're getting a new Campfire update, and honestly, this is probably one of the most rewarding updates we've had in a little while, especially with the types of pets you can earn, but it is pretty small, especially compared to the Busy Bee and the Easter events, making me think that Jandal and his devs are pretty much all focusing on Grow Garden 2 since it is releasing very soon. Obviously, that does worry me a little bit because I don't know what's going to happen with Grow Garden 1. None of your progress is going to be transferred over, and in fact, pets are not even going to be in the game, or at least not even remotely in the same way that they are in Grow Garden 1. That being said, for this Campfire event, it is obviously focused around a campfire. This is what the event platform is going to look like, and in the center here, you are going to be able to grow this campfire to unlock different rewards. So as soon as you join this event, you'll get this little pop-up on screen showing you the summer camp event, where it gives a basic overview of what you're going to be able to do. Burn plants for fuel, team up with the whole server to keep the fire alive, and upgrade the fire over 10 tiers to unlock better rewards. Now, although we do get this pop-up screen, you are going to finally be able to use your main game garden and any of the main game pets to help you in this event. However, you may have noticed something at the bottom there. The Busy Bee 2026 event will still be in the game, and players can still return to their honey garden, with most of the event platforms that are in the game right now probably accessible in some kind of way. And we do have a more specific description of this event. To start the campfire, players must submit any fruit to the campfire to add ember. The amount of ember depends on the fruit's rarity, and although the honey garden is staying in the game, honey plants cannot be submitted to keep the fire alive, and the player must keep submitting fruits. Although keep in mind, you can have friends help build the fire, and this will be a server-wide effort. Now, the devs seem to have overestimated how much they would be adding into this update, because originally it did say there would be 10 tiers unlocked, but a more recent leak of the event shows that there will only be 5 tiers that you can unlock, and the last one is the super fire. Each tier has a countdown displaying the remaining time of the tier's activity, and the higher the tier, the more items that can be unlocked for crafting. So yes, this update is completely focused around crafting your rewards. So with that in mind, every tier of the fire that you build up will have a shorter duration, more ember required, but a better crafting speed boost, with the super fire giving a 500% crafting speed boost. Now, we're less than a day away from this update actually coming out, and we have a ton of crafting recipes leaked. It's possible they could add more rewards, but they've covered most of their bases by adding in cosmetics, seeds, and an egg, so I highly doubt we'll have any significant changes from the ones I'm about to show you. So as you can see on screen here, we have a recipe for the super watering can, the area reclaimer, the fire pit flower, the hearth reed, and the campfire egg. Now, in the testing server, currently this is all a tier 1 reward, but remember, there's going to be 5 tiers, and each one does unlock different crafting recipes, so I think this is probably just for the testing server to make it easier for testers to access all the recipes. And once they drop in the main game, these recipes are going to be spread out across the tiers, with probably the campfire egg being a tier 5 crafting recipe. However, we do have 5 seeds in total that have been leaked, so obviously some of these other ones that don't have crafting recipes just yet could be added to the crafting or could be obtainable in some other kind of way. So we have the fire pit flower, the hearth reed, those 2 ones we already know are going to be crafted, the mellow melt, the flame bud, the campfire clover, and lastly, the Firefly Spiral, which is going to be a transcendent and has the ability to mutate a nearby fruit with 1 of 5 fire-based mutations. And yes, this will be available in the normal seed shop for 2 trillion shekels. Now, you also probably noticed there's a cosmetic crate that you'll be able to craft called the Campfire crate, and this does have some interesting cosmetics, including a camp chair, a camp grill, a camp tent, a folding chair, a large grill, and a small campfire. However, most interestingly, you'll obviously be able to craft the new campfire egg. This contains some actually pretty good pets. So first off, we have the cicada. This is going to just occasionally land on a plant and begin buzzing. The plant will increase its growth speed for a certain amount of time. We have the newt, which will have a chance to duplicate harvested crops, increased chance to duplicate summer type plants. So basically just any other duplication pet. Now we get into the really good pets. The nightjar, which will occasionally consume a fruit with a moonlit mutation and apply a small XP boost or a small passive boost to a random pet in your garden. If the fruit consumed also has bloodlit, it will apply a large passive boost boost instead, which makes this way better than Reaper and actually viable for some less expensive XP setups. And then finally, we have the Fire Wisp with a 0.5% chance. This actually has two abilities. First, it'll apply the Ember variant to a random plant without a variant, and this variant has a 100x multiplier, but most importantly, its second ability has the ability to occasionally apply the Ember pet mutation to a random level 100 pet without a pet mutation, although it does reset its level back to 1 if it fails. Now, what's insane about this Ember pet mutation is it is now the best mutation in the game, beating Hyper Hunger, beating UFO, beating Venom, and even beating Ever Enchanted. All those have a 30% passive boost, while this has a 32% passive boost. The only issue being, obviously, if your pet is age broken, it would reset it back to level 1. Now, what's really cool is that the normal version of the egg will have a much smaller chance of getting the Rainbow Campfire egg, but there still is a chance of opening a Rainbow Campfire egg, which is 1 in 500 as opposed to the 1 in 100 chance from the premium version of the egg. That being said, there are some very important things you should do right now before the update releases so you can immediately farm tons of those new eggs to get tons of those night jars and fire wisps and either use them or even sell them for thousands of tokens before their price drops. So as we know, in order to craft the new rewards, including the egg, you are going to need to level up your campfire. Like I said, the egg is probably going to be the tier 5 crafting recipe, meaning you'll have to have a very good supply of plants to get the ember required to level up your campfire to that level. So before the update releases, you need to get as many high rarity, multi-harvest, fast growing crops as you can. I would personally recommend just look through your garden book and see what types of plants you have. It really depends on what plants you have access to. At the very least, you should use tomatoes, strawberries, and blueberries. But once again, the rarity does affect the amount of ember you get. However, the best crop, in my opinion, is going to be coconut trees. Now, I would recommend you spend the time to set up your garden similar to I have here. It took me about 20 minutes to get all these cosmetics placed and make this ramp that allows me to walk up and quickly collect all the coconuts in this area, but it's definitely well worth it. And coconuts are great because they give 20 crops per plant and are super fast growing and are a pretty decent rarity. Now, I'll probably use some of the other crops that I mentioned as well, like some peppers, some grapes, some elder strawberries, etc. But if you don't have a ton of coconuts or other crops, now is the perfect time to farm them from the seed shop and use the snail to eventually build up a ton of those seeds. That's how I literally have hundreds of coconut seeds that I was able to place here. And alongside this, you want to get your hands on some plant duplication pets. A good option is the Stegosaurus. Also, the giant ant works very well, but specifically for coconuts and safari type crops, the Cape Buffalo is an amazing choice and is what I'll be using for this event. So as long as you have a good amount of multi-harvest, fast growing, and hopefully high rarity crops ready for tomorrow's update, you will be good and you'll have an easier time filling up the campfire and getting to those harder crafting recipes. Now, that being said, this event heavily focuses on crafting, and very similar to the smithing update, a lot of crafting pets are probably going to be very useful. Now, to my knowledge, the best pets that you should get your hands on before this update releases and obviously before their price increases is the Patchy, because it gives a chance to duplicate the crafted item, the Orangutan because it'll have a chance to not consume an item when you craft, and the Hamster because it speeds up the crafting process as you are crafting. And you can use these 3 pets at different stages within the crafting process, meaning they are all very, very useful. So if you are planning on playing this event, I highly recommend you trade for these pets now before the update releases and before their price increases. And then lastly, you should prepare some crafting ingredients before this update drops. Now, obviously these crafting recipes are probably going to change. They look very easy just for the testing server, but you'll still probably need a decent amount of shekels. And for the campfire egg, I would be incredibly surprised if you don't need one of the main game eggs to craft it. Currently, it says it's a rare egg, but I would assume it's either going to be a rare egg, a legendary, or a mythical egg once the update actually drops. And if you want to be like me and farm literally hundreds and even thousands of these eggs before the update drop, take advantage of the bearded dragon that allowed me to farm literally 26,000 common eggs and a ton of other ones, because the campfire egg probably will require at least some type of main game egg to craft. But that is everything coming in the new campfire update releasing tomorrow, and the best way to prepare for it so you can farm tons of those rewards as soon as possible. Obviously, with Grow Garden 2 coming out incredibly soon, expect a ton of videos on its release and even before its release. And to be completely honest, I'm not exactly sure what is going to happen with Grow Garden 1 and my Grow Garden 1 content. If the game keeps updating with good quality updates, I'll probably make videos on both games, but we will have to wait and see. That being said, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you all have an amazing day and good luck gardening.